and grandpas, please welcome Mr. Bill O'Mara.
Fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, how many know what this is?
Pot.
Pot.
A spittoon.
It's a learning experience.
Okay.
It is amazing as a papa and a grandpa to watch little children handle pots. First of all, if they want to get up on the counter, they turn it upside down and step on it. And then they reach all the things that you said, no, you can't have that. Or they turn it this way. And then they put other things in it, like pots or toys or other things that are just in the way. Or then they can turn it over again and get another pot and build a pyramid of pots. It's an interesting thing to be a father and a grandfather, to watch how they develop. As many of you know, I have 9 children. I have 16 grandchildren, and by the end of this year, I will have 18 grandchildren.
That's great.
We went to Finland last year for, I don't know what we went there for. We just But when we got there, my daughter-in-law, who is from Finland, and my son announced that they were going to have a baby. And he's my youngest son, so this is the first child that they have. I have, well, except for one child who's not married yet, so he doesn't have a child. All of them have children then, but it took them forever to get started. The oldest is only 10 now, and my son is 43. So you see all kinds of things happening, and now our youngest son had a child just 2 months ago. And so we went back to Washington, D.C. to see him. And guess what? His name is Ollie. That's my father's name. All the other children had girls first. He's the first one that had boys. It was, well, first of all, I have 6 boys and 3 girls. And it's, the children now, as of the last one, is pretty even. We have about 9 girls and we will have 9 boys, hopefully. But we don't know about one because she will tell us whether it's a boy or a girl. But as a grandpa, well, as a father, I saw this happening when I would come home at night because my wife would be there. There wasn't any reason to have our little children with colors and crayons and all that sort of thing. They did that earlier in the day. But when grandma or mom was cooking and everyone was in the kitchen, the pots and pans were all over the floor. In fact, I never worried about people. That's the funniest slide I've ever seen. I obviously am within time or else.
Are you timing? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Just to add the things I had accidentally unplugged.
Anyway, you know, it's funny, as a dad, we did lots of things, and most of my kids swam, so we would go at least twice a month to some place where they would swim in competition and things of that nature. And it was interesting because it started a habit, I guess, but we always talked about how you improve. And you improve by improving yourself, not by competing with somebody else, because you limit yourself when you compete with somebody else. If you keep looking at yourself and you keep finding the best thing you can do and you keep measuring against yourself, you then know. For example, Sil might look at skiers and their time is such and such. And so the next time he skis, he wants to beat that time. He doesn't necessarily need to beat another skier, especially as a young child, because if you always have to beat the other, you never have any friends because you're always trying to beat them. But if you're competing with yourself, you have friends, and everything works out because you do the best you can. And that's what we all strive for. So my children were all in that area. And my children were all in that way, both in school and after school and in church, whatever it might be. Now I look at my grandchildren. You know, you can't really explain how proud or how emotional you can get when you have grandchildren. I mean, you have that feeling when you have children, but it's a little different. For example, at every Christmas time, the Nutcracker is in town. I take my grandchildren, and of course, I have learned that I always take one of their parents with them, and we go to see the Nutcracker. So I dress up, you know, gray pants, blue coat, and a red sweater, and they're all dressed up. And we have a picture taken right in front of and then they go to the theater. Without a doubt, the curtains open and their eyes go, wow. It's a great feeling to watch how they learn, to see how they develop, because the Nutcracker is very classic. It's not their music of today, but they are just all enthralled with what's happening in front of them. The music, the dancing, all the little things. I can recall the little old lady with the big dress, and then 9 little children come out from underneath the dress. And the kids just go, wow. So we had an opportunity since I'm not practicing, I've been traveling. I've been down to San Diego twice to see my grandchildren down there. I've been to Washington, D.C. to see my new grandchild there. So I've traveled all over to watch my grandchildren. And without a doubt, there's something happens to you inside when you walk in the door and all of a sudden you hear, "Grandpa!" And they start running at you. And if you don't catch them, you're right out the door on your back. It is truly a wonderful experience. And I'm sure that those of you that are parents have experienced everything I've just explained. Madam Toastmaster.
That was another great